Hey, it says this hangout is on the air, so I'm going to assume that it is. Welcome, everybody. It is October 25th. It's Tuesday, October 25th, and you gotta love technology. Hello, Bill. Hi, Craig. You gotta love technology. You gotta love Google. So I didn't think you were going to be here today. Are you leaving early, or what's going on? Uh, Howdy. Um, you got you gotta love Google, and you gotta love technology. So I I went to launch the webinar just about 5 minutes ago, 20 after normal time. I went to launch the webinar, and I went to webinars on there, and I said start webinar, and I got redirected to a brand new page that I'd never seen before, and it was Google. And Google overnight completely changed the interface, and nobody knew it. Nobody expected it. Just woke up today to a brand new interface. It's like, holy moly, what is this? And what am I supposed to do with it? And how are we supposed to start the webinar? So I'm amazed we're here, and I'm amazed that you're here. And that's all I have to say about that. Uh, I'm going to try something a little different today than what we've done in the past. At least a little different than we've done in a long time. And so today, you might think of it as a combination of mindset and goals. And I want to talk a little bit about mindset and goals. And then if anyone has anything on their mind they want to talk about, we can do that. Something new, yeah. But you're going to leave, so there, take that. But yeah, okay. Did they get it working, Chris? So it's different. It's really different. The webinars on air interface doesn't interface to Google Hangouts today. There's a big hole there. They opened up a Grand Canyon and we all just fell in it, and they didn't tell us they were doing it. So I'm not 100% sure how I got this webinar running, but it seems to be running. But listen, I'm going to talk to you a little bit, and yeah. You're gonna think I'm going off on the deep end for a little bit, but just do your usual. Bear with me, and just stay with me for a few minutes. So I told you in the advertising today that we were going to go sailing across the Pacific Ocean. So just imagine that you have a sailboat. In fact, if you want to, you could even lean back in your armchair, close your eyes, and dream. Imagine you have a sailboat and you want to sail to Hawaii. Now, you've never done this before. You've never done a crossing. It's a pretty gargantuous undertaking. It's over 2,000 miles across open water. And you don't have a lot of experience, but you got some books. You read the books. You've got Roots of the World. You've plotted your route. You know which direction you're going to go in. You've taken some courses. You've taken some sailing courses. You've done some sailing. You've sailed around the bay. You've sailed up and down the coast. You've done some coastal sailing. So you've got some experience. You got your boat provision. You got food. Unfortunately, is Larry here today? I don't see Larry. I don't think we can carry enough ice to keep the beer cold for that long of a crossing. So we may have to have warm beer. But you got your food, you got your chart, you got your GPS, you got all your navigational equipment. You even have a compass and a sextant in case your electronics fails, and you've got a book about how to plot your course with the stars. So you think you're pretty well equipped. You know what you're doing. But that day comes, that magical day comes when it's time to leave the safety of the harbor behind. You're going to set sail. You're going to head to sea. And now all those fears, they just well up in you. You are terrified. It's like, oh my God, what if I forgot something? What if the weather turns bad? What if there's a hurricane? What if I develop a leak? What if my radio fails? What if my GPS fails? What if I can't see the stars? What if it's cloudy? What if it's windy? What if it rains? What am I going to do? and you are just absolutely scared. What do? Well, you can stay there. You can stay in port. But there's this little thing tickles you in the back of your brain, and it says, sailboats aren't meant to stay in port. The harbor's safe, but that's not what sailboats are for. They're built to sail. So grudgingly, with terror creeping through you, you pull the lines off, you start the engine because you're going to motor out of the harbor. And then when you get close to the entrance to the harbor, you throw up the main, you throw up the jib, and you're sailing. And a few moments later, you turn around, you look back, and you can't even see land anymore. And now that all that terror builds up in you again. What do? You have a choice. You can turn tail and go back, or you can keep going. So you say to yourself, all right, my goal's Hawaii, but let's just set a smaller goal. Why don't we make it? Let's see if we can make it to the next horizon. I can see the horizon. Let's see if we can make it to the horizon. If we make it to the horizon, we'll assess things and we'll decide what to do next. So we do that. We make it to the horizon. And we go, well, that wasn't so bad. I made my first horizon. Let's make it to the next one and see how that goes. And so we set sail one horizon at a time, one step at a time, one little goal at a time. And pretty soon, we're not afraid anymore. We've made it to a few horizons, and now we see that there's a storm out there, but hell, we know we can weather the storm. We put up the storm jib, we pull down the main, we sail right through it, we get wet, we praise the Lord, we're still alive, we're still sailing. And you know what? It isn't very many days later, not very many horizons later, it's about 20 days. It's not very many horizons later that we actually sight land and we see the port of Honolulu. We're on our way in. We made it. We made the crossing. And we just sailed through what Doug calls the messy middle. And your business is really the same. And the analogy is absolutely perfect. Because you might be sitting here thinking, build a downline? 10,000 people in my downline? I have no idea how to do that. That's scary as hell. But let's chop that into little bits and pieces. And by the way, the name of this story is Can I? It's called Continuous and Never-Ending Improvement. And it actually comes from Tony Robbins. Can I? Can I do this? Well, what if we take our goal of making it to Hawaii and just make it to the first horizon? Rather than worrying about whether we can make it to 10,000 people in our downline, let's make it to one person in our downline. Why don't we make that the goal? And we'll look at that little horizon, the first event horizon, and we'll sail to one person. So our goal now is not to go build 10,000 people. It's to get that first person. And now we can do that. We can make a few phone calls. We can talk to a few friends. We can do a few things, and we can get that first person. And what I want to talk a little bit more about is what's the secret to happiness? Now, this may seem a little bit off tack, but it's not. The secret to happiness is progress. Stops. When it dies, we die. When you quit making progress, when you quit growing, you die. And we see, we are spiritual beings and our soul is infinite. According to Wayne Dyer, our soul is not happy unless it's expanding, unless it's growing. It seeks infinity. And in our earth suit, we find it convenient to set goals. So goals are good, but have you ever noticed that when you reach a goal, after the initial celebration, which typically lasts a few nanoseconds or a couple beers, you immediately begin to search for the next goal? I remember when I had a goal to get a 24-foot boat, and I worked on that for a long time, and I got my boat. And when I got my 24-foot boat, I was all ecstatic and happy for a day. And then I started looking at a 28-foot boat. I thought, well, now, you know what? I want a 28-foot boat. And I got the 28-foot boat. And then I wanted a 32-foot boat. And so it goes. Goals are just intermediate stepping stones. They're milestones. And each goal is a step, one step toward the end. And we don't know where the end is. So let's not worry about the big goal. Let's not worry about $10,000 a month or 10,000 people in our downline. Let's just set those intermediate goals and take those steps. And many times we worry about our goals. We're told that our goals should be big enough, bold enough. They should scare us. Our goals should be big enough to scare us, but small enough to be achievable. So, you know, if a goal of 10,000 people in your downline scares the hell out of you, that's not a good goal for you. Maybe the goal was 100 people, or maybe it's 10 people. Maybe you can set the goal of having 10 people in your downline by Christmas. Now, is that achievable? Is that attainable? Is it big enough to scare you, but small enough to be achievable? Yeah, it might be. Or maybe for you it's 5, or maybe it's 2 people. But whatever your goal is, it should scare you a little. It should stretch you. It should pull you. But it shouldn't scare you into inactivity. So if you think about, well, if I want to get to 100,000, now Doug talks about big numbers. So does everybody else. They talk about $100,000 a month. That's easy in this business. And if you're sitting here with no downline and no experience, $100,000 a month is enough to set you into a tailspin. It's like, that's too big of a goal. I can't even imagine that. So, all right, how about $100 a month or $1,000 a month? How about a goal that is big enough to stretch you, but small enough that you're not afraid of it, small enough that you think you can achieve it? So I think personally that the secret to goals is that they should be out of our comfort zone. They should be big enough to scare us a little bit, but not so big as to scare us into inactivity, not so big as to be so outlandish that we just can't get off the couch and move because we don't want to go there. And as soon as we get to that first goal, the human spirit, the nature of the soul, is going to tell us that it's time to set a bigger goal. So it's okay. You don't have to sit here today and imagine 10,000 people in your downline. It's okay to imagine 1 person or 2 person or 5 or 10, whatever works for you. Because as soon as you get there, the human spirit is going to move you to the next level. You're going to get to that 10 people and you're going to say, okay, I got there. Now it's time to go for 20, or it's time to go for 100, or whatever the next one for you is. But each goal is just a stepping stone. And I hope this is making sense. So and the other thing is, the important thing is to remember this. In fact, Ray Higdon talked about this yesterday, comparitis. We all always want to compare ourselves to the other guy. Well, you know, Lisa Torres came into MLSP and she had 10,000, or she had, you know, she made it to L4 in 3 months. What's the matter with me? Why can't I do that? And I don't know what her numbers were, by the way. I made that up. I exaggerated. I don't know what it was, but she made it to L4 in what seemed like an infinitesimally short period of time. But the backstory is that she struggled for damn near 10 years. And she had a list of 10,000 people when she joined MLSP. The backstory. You got to look at the backstory. She didn't come fresh out of school with no experience, no background, no training, and reach L4. She took 10 years to reach L4. You just saw the last 3 or 4 months of it. So don't compare yourself to other people. Just look in the mirror, compare yourself to yourself. And a great motto is, every day, in every way, I am getting better and better. So let's circle back to the beginning. Are you in Asante Organics with us? Can you build a business? Yes, you can. You can do it by embarking on a continuous journey of never-ending improvement, and ask yourself every day this one simple question. Did I do better today than I did yesterday? Did I improve? Did I grow? Did I expand? And if the answer is yes, your soul is happy, because that's what your soul wants. That's what your spirit wants. That's what your Creator gave you the ability to do. So my final comment on this is, remember this: the courage to face our fears and forge ahead is not the loud roar in the jungle. It's the quiet determination every night to get up tomorrow and to do better tomorrow than we did today. It's to make that one more phone call, or to touch one more life, or to contact one more person. It's to take one more step forward. So I'm going to challenge you all today to look at, you got 2 more months left this year and change. What are you going to do with it? What's your goal for Christmas? What do you want to be for Christmas? Can you set a goal for yourself that is a little bit outside your comfort zone, but small enough that it's achievable? And can you get up every day and take one little step toward that goal every day and make it happen? Because if you don't, your spirit is not going to be happy with you. It's going to cause you to get disillusioned, and to begin to doubt yourself, because you have to see progress in order to keep your motivation. So that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Did you get value? Does that story resonate with anybody? Does it make sense? By the way, a fair amount of that comes from Wayne Dyer and from Tony Robbins. I didn't invent these ideas. I just translated them. So that's all I have for today, actually. I don't see any action in the chat. Did you all fall asleep? Is the chat still working? Is anybody there? Hello? $11:43. Wait. Yes. Chris, you're still there. The chat's still working. It's like there hasn't been an entry in the chat for 6 minutes. I'm going, are they still out there? All right. Cool. All right. So I'd be curious to know if you like that. And if you didn't, that's all right too. And the question is, are you going to do something with it? Go take a look. Chris, I love you. Go take a look at your goals for the next couple of months. How do you want to close out this year? And then as we move into next year, let's look at what we can do to make it happen. By the way, for those of you who are in Asante and don't know this, apparently the meeting in March is not going to be at the Red Rock Inn, or it might be. Apparently, Michael got contacted by several other institutes in Las Vegas, and they're competing for his business. So he promises this week, for those of you who didn't hear the announcement yesterday, he promises this week we will know for sure where it's at. But that's why we haven't heard the announcement, the final announcement, and the registration links. So it may move to a different location. And that's all I have for you today. Laura, are you still here? Are you going to be on Thursday, or am I? Vegas, yes, Larry, Vegas. But the Red Rock Inn's getting some competition from other facilities in Vegas. So he's still calling it Miracle in the Desert, and he promises this week we'll have a final announcement as to what the location is. So interesting. Alrighty. Anyhow, I'm not sure what we're doing Thursday on Lunch with Len. I'll get back to you. We'll let you know. And that's all I have for today. If nobody has any other comments or questions, we'll go ahead and call it a day, and we'll move on. Alrighty. So thank you all for coming today. Good to see you. And too bad. I love Red Rock. Yeah, well, it still might be there. I don't know. They're just getting competition. So, maybe he's got some negotiating points with them. So, we'll just have to wait and see, Chris. Wherever it is, to me, it doesn't matter where it is. I mean, they could throw some tents out in the parking lot. It's not, to me, that's not the big issue. But, yeah, Red Rock's a nice place. Anyhow, all right, guys, we'll see you on Thursday. Oh, by the way, we are doing, Digging for Gold is going to happen at 5 o'clock today, if we can figure out how to make webinars work. But we seem to be through the first one, so we got it going. We are switching horses today, and we're starting into Twitter. So we've got some really good stuff for you for this afternoon at 5 o'clock, Twitter training. And we're going to start working Twitter for a little while here. And at 6 o'clock, I am back on doing the corporate webinar tonight. So if you have anybody who you think could benefit from a webinar, the corporate webinar is a really good webinar, and tonight's presentation is exceptionally good. Anyhow, bring your friends, bring your neighbors, bring your relatives, and pack the house. So the webinar is short. It's just about 30 minutes and occasionally a little change. So it's 5 o'clock for Digging for Gold and 6 o'clock for the corporate webinar. And if anybody needs links and doesn't know where to find them, send me a message. And other than that, we'll see you Thursday. Bye for now.